Okay, so Carrie is the owner and specializes in retirement insurance at Prairie Grove Insurance, an independent family-owned agency based in Wisconsin. She works closely with individuals and families to help them understand Medicare and Medicaid with a strong focus on education and long-term planning. Carrie is especially passionate about helping families with complex situations navigate confusing systems with clarity and confidence. She is committed to providing straightforward guidance, local expertise, and ongoing support as needs change over time. So I'll turn it over to Carrie.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go over SSI, SSDI, Medicare and Medicaid. And how is what I'm hoping to do is just really make this easy. We're going to simplify it as much as possible so you understand the difference of all of them and go from there. So we're going to go over SSI, SSDI, Medicaid, and Medicare. The big transitions that I've talked to you guys a lot about are you're worried about when your child becomes a young adult and what happens then. So we'll go over the transitions, some of the qualifications, and what to do if you're denied, because a lot of applications are actually denied the first time, and there's a process you can do to resubmit and get the letter of reconsideration out. So we'll go over all that, and then where and how to apply. So we'll start with SSI, Supplemental Security Income. So think of this as needs-based. It's for low income, low assets. You don't have to have a work history. It generally comes with Medicaid. So there's no separate application in Wisconsin. So if you qualify for SSI, Supplemental Security Income, you automatically qualify for Medicaid. If you're under 18, they take your parents' income and assets into consideration. So for a lot of kids, they don't qualify. It's really hard to qualify when they take in your parents' assets and do account with it. So how does a child qualify for SSI? Legally blind is always a qualification. A disability, physical and mental impairment causing severe functional limitations. The disability has to be expected to last 12 months or longer or considered terminal. They take into consideration, like I said, your household income and resources. And SSA, Social Security Administration, will consider part of the income of the parents if you live with the child. So at 18, if your child still lives with you, you're a young adult, they're not going to take into consideration your parents' income, but they will take into consideration the fact that you're living at home and it's not as expensive. There's considerations for it. But you can qualify easier for SSI. So SSI, SSDI, and Medicaid, Medicare. This is kind of the big general overall picture. So SSI is income related. It's a federal program and it's income. You can qualify if you're 65 or older, legally blind, individuals with disabilities. So SSDI is work-based. So this is if you've been working. It requires your work history. You've paid into the federal taxes, and that's how this is funded. And then Medicaid is a needs-based program, low income, and the Medicare is 65 plus for people that qualify for disability, Social Security disability. So these are the programs that we're going to go over. So I kind of talked about this. This is the low income, work history required. The government will send you income. If you qualify for Supplemental Security Income, you also qualify for Medicaid. For most parents, the Medicaid is the most important part of this, not the $950 the federal government gives you to help take care of your kid. So they do take into consideration parents' assets and income, so it is harder to qualify for. Yeah. So legally blind, physical and mental impairment causing severe limited function, your condition is expected to last 12 months or considered terminal. They don't accept partial or short-term disability. You have to have limited income and resources is for the child to qualify. So for the adult, legally blind, it still holds true. Disability impacts mental condition that prevents you from working. You're unable to earn over the $1,690 per month. So this would qualifies you as an adult. The condition must be, again, expected to last 12 months or considered terminal. The resources, household income resources, is less than $2,000 and $3,000 for a couple. So it is so limited and it is so hard to qualify for. The nice thing about it is if you do qualify for it, it does open the door to Medicaid. So kind of the difference between adults and children, just in a nutshell, is for the adults, it's the ability to work. That's what they're looking at. The children, they're like, how does this affect you at home? But the adults, it's the ability to work. It's a disability where you cannot work. So you don't have to have work history is required to get it because you can't work. So there's programs out there like IRIS and stuff like this. And most of the programs for adults are meant to keep you at home. They don't want to put you in an institution. They're trying to keep you more independent and keep you at home. So there's several programs out there. The Department of Health Services has a list of it. You can pick if you're a child, if adult, pregnant. They have all the services broken down. So for SSI for children, like I said, they look at the family income and assets. It's called deeming. The disability has to be a physical or mental impairment with severe functional limitations. So I've talked to several of you whose child didn't qualify for SSI, but you're on Katie Beckett's Medicaid. So this is so important because it's the health insurance that is, especially when the kids are younger, the most important part. And I talked to so many of you whose child didn't get SSI, but you're on Katie Beckett's Medicaid. And so that only lasts till age 19, but it's a great program. So we'll talk about transitioning in a little bit. So Medicaid, for most of you, you know, it is just health insurance. It has long-term support. Medicaid actually provides long-term care, which is great. So it's run jointly by the federal and the state government. It's administered by the Wisconsin Department here, but it's a federal and state program. So in Wisconsin, when you qualify for SSI, you almost always automatically qualify for Medicaid. And like I said, that is the most important part. There's no separate Medicaid application. The Medicaid covers services beyond private insurance. So you're gonna get your medical, your dental, vision, mental health, and for a lot of people, long-term care. You'll get support services at home also. So this is to provide long-term stability, which is really important. So programs for children. So Badger Care Plus, I'm sure everyone's heard of. This is the program that most people hear of and they don't realize that there's other programs out there. There's Birth to 3, which provides special education therapies for children under 3. Katie Beckett, which most of you are familiar with if your child didn't qualify for SSI and get Medicaid. This is a waiver where you can get Medicaid for children under 19. It doesn't use the parent's income, so this is how it works. There's also the Children's Long-Term Support, which is support to allow the child to remain at home, which is what they want and what parents want. They just want to keep their kids at home. So these are some of the programs for children. There's more programs than this. They all have different qualifications and different rules, but these are some of the more common ones that people have. So Medicaid for adults. So the health coverage for adults, you can have Badger Care also, long-term care and support services. The programs like Family Care and IRIS are really important because these also allow the adult child to stay at home. They really want the adult child to stay, I shouldn't say adult child, I'm sorry, the young adult to stay at home. So transitioning from living at home or a 17-year-old to now a young adult is usually a pretty scary because you don't know what the next steps are. So they have other services for the young adults. IRIS is one. They have a Medicaid purchase program called MAPP, which is really a good program if your child wants to work and earn money, they can do that and they're not going to lose their Medicaid. So they can earn so much money and not lose the Medicaid, which is what a lot of people want to do. So at age 18, whether you have supplemental security income or not, you have to reapply because now adult rules apply. So the question really shifts from how does this condition affect the child at home to how does this condition affect the child's ability to work? And then at 18, the young adult's income and assets are counted. So the parent's income is no longer counted. So a lot of you, your children will lose Katie Beckett's Medicaid, but because they're no longer going to count your income and assets, they're going to get supplemental security income, and that'll qualify them for Medicaid. So they still will have the insurance. So if you're 18 and you have it, you still have to reapply. If you're under 18 and you never got it, apply, because you'll probably get it now, as long as your assets are under the $2,000 mark. So I think Dara and some other people had touched on this. Is kind of like asset rules. You have to protect your child from getting too much income. So we see people get an inheritance. Grandparents leave them some money, stuff like that comes up. Parents put money away in a savings in the child's name. All this stuff can disqualify you from having Medicaid and Supplemental Security Income. So every year SSA is going to review it. Every 1 to 6 years, the state requires that every year they're just going to review your income. If your income does change, you're supposed to notify them within 10 days. So the things that they don't count is the home or the land you live in. You can have one car, personal effects, wedding rings, if your grandparents gave you, I don't know, something really cool, some jewelry or something, they're not going to count that. Life insurance is a big one. If you have a whole life policy, that policy's face value cannot be over $1,500. So you can't have even insurance policies. You can have your burial expenses paid, but you can't have a whole life or universal life policy with cash value. So Social Security disability insurance. This is based on your work history. There's no asset limit. You could have 3 houses and $10 million in the bank. This is from something you've paid into. So Social Security disability insurance your assets and your investments don't count against you. It's your current income. So you're no longer able to work. So in 2026, you cannot earn more than $1,690. If you're legally blind, it's $2,830. This provides monthly income, and after 2-year waiting period, it'll provide you with Medicare. So most people that have SSDI, they just say, I'm on disability. That's what it goes by. The big issue for this is you now have a disability. You have to wait 2 years before you have insurance. So you have to find something to fill that 2-year gap. So it's either the ACA, sometimes people go on COBRA if they can afford it. COBRA is pretty expensive. So it's your inability to work to qualify. You're unable to do any of your previous work or adjust to other work. It's determined by an impairment that prevents substantial gainful activity, which is Social Security's definition of you just can't work enough to make $1,600. So it can't be partial or short-term. It has to be a disability that is expected to last at least 12 months. And then it's work-based. So you need 40 work credits. 20 of those 40 need to be earned in the last 10 years. If you're a younger worker, you can get it with less credits. The benefit amount will be reduced quite a bit. So you can get concurrent benefits, which means you get SSI and SSDI. And if you're able to do that, you'll have Medicaid that gets you to your 24 months where you get Medicare. And then you're dual eligible, so you have Medicare and Medicaid. Lots of programs. They work together, they run together. There's so many rules and qualifications, but this is one that you can have together with SSI and you can become a dual eligible. A disabled adult child, DAC. So this is somebody who you have to be 18 to qualify, but if you're on SSI or you're not, how it works is you actually get paid off your parents' work history. So let's say you're a child, you have to have been diagnosed with your disability before the age of 22. Your parents are now retired and collecting Social Security. You can actually collect half of what they would get plus Medicare. So this is a great benefit for people, especially if you have SSI, you can get SSDI, SSI, you can have Medicaid, and you can also have Medicare. So it's nice wraparound coverage. There's lots of gaps and holes in Medicare, exposures in it. So having SSA, especially to get you to that 2 years to get Medicare, and then you have Medicare and Medicaid. You can't get much better insurance than that. So SSI, again, SSDI, they're both income, they're both federal programs. One is needs-based, low income. If you're under 18 and you're denied, you reapply at 18. You're most likely going to get it. It comes with Medicaid. SSDI is based on work history. It's an insurance program that you funded with your taxes. It is not based on any financial need, and there's a waiting period of 5 months after you apply for SSDI and you get approved. They make you wait 5 months before they pay you, and then 24 months after that before you get Medicare. So you're actually waiting 29 to 30 months before your health insurance starts once you have SSDI. A lot of waiting game with them. So Medicare. Medicare is primarily for adults who are 65 and older, but it can also be for people who qualify for disability that are paid into the system. So most people don't know, they think Medicare is completely free. It comes with 2 original parts, which Part A is inpatient or hospital coverage. That's what they take out of your check every single month. And if you've worked 10 years or 40 quarters, Part A is free. Part B for 95% of the people is $202.90 a month. So some people who qualify for SSI and SSDI, they can't afford the $202. They take it right out of your Social Security or Supplemental Security Income. So there's qualifications. You can be a qualified Medicare beneficiary, and they'll pay your Part A and Part B deductibles and coinsurance. If you're an SLMB, Special Limited Medicare beneficiary, it'll pay Part B. So this is really important because not only does Medicare cost a lot of money, it has huge exposures. Every hospital stay is $1,736 per benefit period. So every 60 days, a new benefit period starts. So that's $1,700. And then Part B, it only covers 80%. So 20% is on you, and there's no cap. So having a QMB, qualified Medicare beneficiary, if you're low income, it'll pay the A and the B, and it'll pay the deductible and the co-insurance. So you won't have any out-of-pocket costs. One thing to note for most people is Medicare also does not cover long-term care. So that is also on you. But if you have Medicaid, it does. So, okay. I think we went over that. So what do you do if you're denied? So I don't know if anyone in here has been denied. It's really, really common. So the first thing is you really need to know why you were denied. They're going to send you a letter. Generally, the Social Security Administration, the first thing they do is once you apply for SSI or SSDI, they're going to send you, we need more information. We need medical records. We need proof of your income. Give them what they're asking for. That's a big thing is people just don't send it back in. But if you do and you think you were denied and you should have been, because I think they just deny half the people because they want to see who tries to appeal it. So there's a reconsideration letter. You have to do it within 60 days. Whatever information that they're asking for, just send it to them. Usually this works. Usually it doesn't have to go any farther. You can do it through the mail, or it's always quicker to do it online. So after that 60 days, if you are still denied again, this might be where you'd want to get a disability attorney. They can help you make a better case, but you do have 3 more appeals. You can have a hearing with a judge to present your case. So this is where you might want an attorney to at least help you build your case. If the judge still denies it, you can take it to appeals council review, and if they deny it, you can file a federal court and file a lawsuit. So you do have options. I just don't know how good those bottom 3 options are. So usually the appeal works, so the 60 days. Here are some resources. There are so many programs out there. They're all different. They all have different qualifications. Wisconsin Department of Health and Human Services, they have if you go on there and you look up Medicaid, you can pick a child, adult, pregnant. You can pick whatever category you need, and when you click on it, it'll show you everything that you may qualify for. So your options are all right there. The Aging and Disability Resource Center is great if you're over 18. I think they talk to you by 17 and a half. They'll start talking to you. You can sit down with somebody and plan what you need to do. So they're another really, really great resource. So, okay, and then here's phone numbers and stuff for these 3 agencies. So you file for SSI and SSDI with Social Security. You can always schedule an appointment with ADRC if you're 18 or older. And then you have the Wisconsin Department of Health and Human Services. So, okay, do you guys have any questions?